Hey, so I got a reply today from the Police Chief Commissioner's office addressed to my person. So I'll read it to you. It says, Miss Hannah Rose Shotbolt. So they've done some digging on me because I didn't give them my middle name. Dear Madam, I represent the Commissioner of Police of the Metropolis. Thank you for your notice of intent and claim of right. I would like to point out that this document has no force in law at all and does not affect your legal duties as a British citizen in any way. I have forwarded the document to the Gloucestershire Police. Scary, because I haven't already done that myself. The Metropolitan Police Service will not be entering into any further correspondence with you. Yours faithfully, whatever her name is. So I got that and I thought, well, do you know what? She's tried to make out like I'm not responsible enough to have sent it to my local police. Like I'm not going to say to them like, this is my intention, this is my understanding, this is what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. Like I'm doing this because I'm a responsible person. So I wrote back because although she said they're not going to enter into any correspondence with Miss Hannah Shotbolt, that's not me, that's my corporation. So this is what I said. I've written covering notice. And just like when I sent letters to the local police, I've attached some writings from Kate of Gaia, which are very powerful words, maybe the last chance they have. So, this is my covering notice. Dear Representative, this is a courtesy notice. I have noted that you addressed your recent correspondence dated 13th of May 2014 to Miss Hannah Rose Shotbolt. I understand Miss Hannah Rose Shotbolt to be an artificial person, legal entity, sole corporation, created unknowingly and without full disclosure via the registration of my birth by my parents. Whereas I understand the Metropolitan Police Service to be exactly that, a service, and if I do not wish to contract with you, I'm not obliged to do so. On this understanding, I am noticing you that I am executive, administrator and beneficiary to my sole corporation, Miss Hannah Rose Shotbolt, and all derivatives thereof, as made clear in my declaration of copyright trademark, published to Facebook profile Hannah Rose, 16th of the 4th, 2014. I, Hannah, a flesh and blood child of God, am not a corporation. I have a corporation, which I am fully responsible for, both morally and commercially. I am enclosing 2 documents with this covering notice, one of which has been sent in good faith to the Gloucestershire Police Chief Inspector Suzette Davenport on the 2nd of the 5th, 2014, recorded delivery, along with my notice of understanding and notice of lawful tax rebellion. I bid you to listen to the words of Kate of Gaia attached to this notice, as they may well be the last chance you have to save your soul. As I have noticed you that I am in fact Hannah the human woman, I reserve the right to return unread and unopened any incorrectly addressed correspondence. Have a nice day, madam. Namaste, Hannah. So this is Kate of Gaia. An open letter to law enforcement humans. We are your neighbours, your families, your friends and your allies, but your programming from these, your masters, is difficult to break through. The list of people I have conversed with over the years that have suffered as a result of the system's programming of you is long and very sad. I can only imagine what some of your parents must think of the monsters you've become. Unfortunately, your system lumps innocent people going about their lives in the same category as serial killers, rapists, etc. You are not serving a legal or lawful system, you are serving a commercial one, where all of your rules are based in getting names to create surety joinder to an account. After all, what's the first question every one of you must ask to gain jurisdiction? Indeed, no name, no game. But even that won't stop you from ransacking a car or two or picking someone's pockets to get that all-important, the system is hinged on it ID now, will it? No, you get minimal training regarding the laws and then you're sent out on the streets as the protection racket privateers you really are. This is why you're all officers, regardless of rank, which hopefully will shine some light on what a commissioned officer really is. You are the same as privateers on a ship, where you get a small commission from all the ships, people you can board on a weekly basis. You get handed a few dozen statutes to give you enough to do your job and to give you a sense of, I'm a law enforcer now, and off you go to pillage the masses for your banking masters. This is the God complex, and depending on the level of intelligence or lack thereof in tandem with sociopathic tendencies, off you go collecting your protection money. It is not a coincidence that the vast majority of you have minimal education and cognitive skills, because it takes a certain breed of human to do that kind of dirty work. Where else can you make that kind of money with all the power perks without a formal education? It's quite deliberate, because anyone with any form of higher education wakes up to the fraud on humanity fairly fast. What I'm seeing more of now is that some, quite a few actually, are waking up within your ranks and are beginning to see the truths being shared by those that know what's really going on. They're beginning to see that they were the keepers of their own and others' slavery, and are researching the very things we've been talking to you about for years. Only the true psychopathic and greed-oriented of you will be the last to see this, but then by then it will be too late, because you're going to have to explain your actions to the masses you were willfully enslaving, stealing from, beating up and killing. Fuck off, Terry. It's funny, because the very knowledge we know would remove your need to be a slave in the first place. Here's a few facts for you from a previously written handout intended to wake your sleepy asses up, and I urge you, if you're mentally capable, to disprove these facts. I caution you not to ask your bosses though, because they'll get rid of you at the first sign of you catching on. It's either that or you'll get a promotion if your soul is for sale. Attention, law, bylaw enforcement, military, etc. Did you know? Number 1. You have oathed your living soul to a dead corporation, fictional corporation, namely the Crown Corporation, City of London State, and are, in fact, a foreign combatant and enemy of the state, wherever you live outside of aforementioned square mile City of London State. Like, the City of London is its own country inside London. Who knew? I found this out like 2 weeks ago. Number 2. By virtue of you claiming to be the name on the birth certificate, you are in fact committing fraud, and furthermore aiding and abetting, enticing into slavery every living soul you demand a name from, inasmuch as they too are committing fraud via commission, omission of this fact through ignorance of it. Number 3. You are in fact committing the crime of false impersonation by wearing the very uniform of a false impersonation separate from your true living self. Number 4. The very masters you serve consider you dogs. Dog tags ring a bell, and will use you until your usefulness runs out and you become collateral damage, like those you kill, steal from, rape, entice into slavery, etc. et al. In the everyday execution of your duties. Number 5. The very people you are being told are your enemy are actually the ones trying to awaken you and the rest of humanity to the crimes you are committing knowingly, unknowingly, by, for your masters, where you are guaranteeing your own slavery, and as much as the very name you think of as you is a dead corporate fiction bond corporation that is the property of the Crown, and that renders you and all non-Temple Bar members, humanity, dead on arrival when you or were born and registered. Number 6. That I was just following orders is not a defence from or of universal law, whereby you are fully responsible, known by, for your actions of all injury you engage in, pledging, knowingly, unknowingly, by, for, commission, omission, of any all crimes you perpetrate, where by virtue of your unclean hand status, everything you do in the execution of your duties is in fact crimes against humanity. Number 7. Inasmuch as you are not a Temple Bar British accredited registry member, you are like the rest of humanity, where using, claiming, acting as the name registered to the Crown Corporation, and all the orders you give, receive are in fact done so in fraud under false impersonation, which is a capital crime, and every action you partake in, you do so for the benefit of your fellow non-bar member humanity, such as family, friends, kin, etc., who are as enslaved as you, and where you are aiding and abetting in that enticement to slavery, which is a crime against humanity. Yes, you are the enabler, but you are the enablers of those that control you, and the lives of your family and those of every family on the face of this earth. While the concept's not maybe immediately visible, it is merely important to me to make you aware of the crimes of commission and omission, where ignorance of these facts are known to you now, rendering you willfully consenting where ignorance isn't, never was, nor will ever be a position of defence. Every act you continue to do make you the undertakers of humanity as a whole. Every ticket you write, every life you take, every home you help steal, only shows clearly that your soul is for sale, inasmuch as you do these things for money that was created on the birth certificate soul bond, rendering you as much a vampire as those you serve. You are the dead, carrying out the dead by your actions. You are known. It might be an idea to bring a mirror with you to ask yourself who you really are. It's time you rose above your dogs for the elite status none. You see, the vast majority of you do not know what's going on, but there are some of you that do, and they typically own the higher ranks of the in-the-know crowd. These are the ones that quite willingly sell their souls for a few more treats than you from the same master you serve. Again, don't ask them about this, because you're likely going to lose your job, or your loyalty to their system will be questioned. Many of you will likely be concerned that if I do the right thing, I'll lose my job, my house, etc. There again is the irony of this, in that you don't own a home, a car, a marriage, your children, your bank accounts, your belongings, because they are all registered and property of the Crown, regardless of where you are on this planet. As a point of interest, the Crown is not a literal being like the old hag that lives in London, but rather the Bank of England, as it was set up by the Rothschilds in 1694 as the Crown Corporation replaced the living crown for a fictional dead corporate one. The simple truth is, you are aiding and abetting not only yourself into fraud, but everyone you beat a name out of, because as you've been told, you must get a name before you can do anything. That's because the system, your masters, absolutely require someone to willfully consent to be in fraud, by using a name that they do not own, registered remember, so that you can rape them financially or otherwise. Don't kid yourself, without that uniform you are in the same camp as the rest of humanity, where you live under an even deeper illusion of freedom than the rest of us. What makes you and I different is mainly the fact that people like me can't be bought and paid for like you, and that we're trying to actually restore true law, and we do it free and at great cost to ourselves. I have to admit, I wouldn't want to be you when you actually wake up to the real and true crimes you've been committing all the while thinking you were doing a good job. Once you realise the very nature of your job is based in pure fraud and deception, you might be suicidal like the former Deputy Chief of Police for the city of Guelph, Brent Eden. Look him up. He still lives there and his wife still manages the Pizza Hut there. Rather than speak up though, he stuck out his minimum 3 years in his role as Deputy Chief to take his $75,000 a year retirement package. Imagine paying a coward that much and how many people it takes to fleece to make sure he gets it. Is that why you became a cop? Seriously. One day, I promise, you will look in the mirror, sooner rather than later, and realise what a pitiful specimen of a human you really are, where I'm just your mirror. I remember smiling and laughing with you as a child, and I remember being bullied too by future constables. Even the very terms you use should tell you something. Con is a familiar term with you, I'm sure, so let's see what it means. Con is a prefix, typically means not or against, as in pros and cons. Constable means not stable. Department means depart mind. Ment is from Latin, but then an education of any worth is required to know that. Regis from register means to rule, so have a look at regiment. And now you see what's going on. Police division. Seriously, detachment, department. Are you seeing the trend yet? Every word is used to control your mind, and once they do that, woe betide the average human you encounter, the very system you serve as a dead fiction. False impersonator is the very one that enslaves you and the rest of us, trying to wake you up. Only you can decide whether your real intent to be a cop was one of upholding laws, because that is the opposite of what you're really doing. Do I expect all of you to get this? No. I only expect those with a semblance of honour within them to get it, since the one who can sell out for money already has a deal with the devil. The god they worship called money? No, those that suckle from the tits of the whore of Babylon can carry the mark of the beast, name, are a lost cause, and their fate awaits them. And anyone else who tries to fill their master's coffers with the blood of their fellow human. I suppose it's about that time to decide who and what you really are, an honourable being or a filthy crook. It can't be any clearer or simpler than that. Now choose. Much love.